everyone. Thank you for everybody who is joining for my another episode of Thursday Talk Show. And as entrepreneur, I love pushing myself out of my comfort zone and always trying and learning something new. And one of these things is going to networking events. Luckily, when I went a couple days ago, I met a special lady who I connected instantly, and I was brave enough and she was sweet enough to say yes to come join me today. So welcome Robyn Donaldson, who is not only clinical psychologist in the state of Nevada, but she's also entrepreneur and co-founder in Solace Club, which is a company that creates care packages for people in grief. She's also native in Las Vegas, which is very rare. I don't know many people that are native here. And those who are, I think that everybody knows, everybody. So thank you so much for joining me, Robyn. It was a pleasure to have you there on the networking event and go through that with, grace and fun. But even more, thank you for coming here to share your experience with the listeners.
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me on today. It's quite a treat.
Sure. My absolute pleasure. I don't believe in coincidences in life. So when I went to that networking event and I was trying to hide there, and when I see you, smiling face, you were so positive, and it was really a pleasure to see you there.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun to try to push you out of your comfort zone, like you said.
She's like, I'm not helping you here. She's like, I'm not walking here with you.
I'm like, wait a minute. We need to go check things out. We can't just stand here and chit chat. I mean, it's great. And there are a lot of other things that we needed to go see.
Yes. So that was really great. What I really love too is when you go to the networking events, or wherever you're going somewhere out that it's, out of your comfort zone or out of your routine, you usually meet people that are strangers to you. The same in person and same in online business. You meet strangers, but then when you start talking to them, usually people start sharing the stories. And the stories that we share when we become vulnerable, it's really the part where I believe that we create relationships, when we really connect with people. And when we open ourselves and we are vulnerable, we allow others to do the same. So I was really impressed when you start sharing your story, and then it was like a light bulb, above my head. I'm like, I want her on my show, because it's just incredible to see how, many people live in the victim state. They think that a life is happening to them. And then when I see a person like you, woman who faced some really hard obstacles in her life, and turn it not only in business opportunity, but also in a personal opportunity to grow and help others, it's just incredibly inspiring. So let me ask you, how did you start it? Why did you start that entrepreneurial journey? Because being a doctor, it's pretty cool. So
go ahead. Yeah. I was about to say there are a couple of questions in there. And sure, being a clinical psychologist is very cool, in my opinion. I think that if you're going along the lines of helping somebody, there are many different paths that you can take besides the PhD. So I always like to put that out there. But about 3.5 years ago, my husband of 2 years and 7 years in a relationship was hit by a car when he was on a motorcycle, and he was killed. And thank you. And the process of going through grief and still trying to take care of my patients and my clients and make sure that I had a roof over my head was pretty intense and pretty daunting. I'm very blessed and lucky to have the friends and family that I did have around me. But even with all of them, at some point they went back to their everyday lives, and they just weren't there as much as what I needed on a regular basis going through grief. So I went through a lot of different changes with, we had just bought a house, and so I was trying to make sure that I could afford to keep that, working 3 jobs at one point, trying not to get too burnt out. But at some point along the way, I remember it being around Christmas time, because I was focused on, the gifts and things that I was getting people, and boxes had been very popular for what I was giving people. I was like, why don't we have a grief box? Like, this just makes sense to me. Something that, like, after you go back to, like, the person that's not in grief, after you go back to your everyday life, you still want to support the person in grief. Let's send them a box. Like, let's make sure that they know that we still care and that we're able to connect and be there for this. Like, let's make this happen. So, hey, Jess, it's great to see you. That's awesome. I did not know that you knew Jess. Wow. Small community, Las Vegas still is.
Hi, Jess.
Right. So trying to figure out, okay, like, I have this idea, and my partner at the time, was talking, how could we do this? And we they knew another person to help us with some of the technology features, because that is so not my wheelhouse. And so we came up with the idea of Solace Club, and about October of last year, although we started prepping for it way before then, that's when we really launched it. And since then, that has been my major focus, is just trying to cultivate what we provide people, trying to educate supporters out there to really be empowered to say, hey, I can do this. I can help somebody in grief because I know how. And that is so the important piece that Solace Club really tries to do, is empower people.
That's wonderful, because so often in life we are so focused in ourselves, in our own small bubble. And that's where I feel that it's really hard to be happy or be successful, If you would stay there and be focusing only on yourself, on your grief, on your pain, hopefully with time it would pass. We say that time is the best healer. But what you did, you just had an amazing idea coming from, how can I help more people? You saw a problem there because you were experiencing it yourself. And it's amazing to have a friends and family, they support you, but they don't, it's not possible to do it forever, and it's not possible they feel what you feel. Right. So it's even just, when I think about it, it's also about the community that you are creating. It's not just the product itself. I know you told me you are doing social media, that you're sending the newsletter. I know that you are going to more events and bringing people together. And I think the power is really in the community, because too often we think that, oh, it's just me. It's just nobody can understand me.
Right. And there's a saying out there that we heal better in a community than we do when isolated. And I think that when it deals with grief, I definitely think that is accurate. In Vegas, the mental health opportunities and services that are available for the size of our population is not super awesome. We still have a really long way to go to be able to help everybody in need. So yes, there are some support groups out there, but they're not all things that are going to really help people. Like, to compare this a little bit to like the AA, just in the groups, they have tons of AA groups. And people will tell you, if you're going to go join an AA group, you know, make sure that you fit in. Like, not that you have to fit in, but that the group itself is a group that you can really connect with. Mm-hmm. And that helps when you have like 100 or so in the Valley, that you can say, yeah, let me go shop around. Let me go try out these groups. But when we're talking about grief and we're talking about bereavement, we don't have that luxury in Las Vegas. A lot of cities don't have that luxury. And so it isn't possible to really have that wraparound attention and care, which is, again, why with Solace Club, we're trying to get the people that love and care enough about the individuals that they'd be willing to send a box to really say, and that's why we have the newsletters. So customers that actually buy the box for somebody, we're sending out newsletters reminding them how they can help somebody in grief. And then once we get our app, which is, like I said, outside of my wheelhouse, but the really neat thing about it is that for the individual customers, we will be able to remind them when important dates are coming up for the deceased person, the person that's grieving.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you're right. You're saying it's in Las Vegas, we don't have so many groups for a grief, you know, but I can't even remember that I ever heard about that, you know, even back in Europe. I know that, you know, we have like the after party or after dinner, but then there is no real follow-up, like, okay, you know, you bury the person or whatever happens, and then that's it, you know, life goes on, and right. It's really hard. And I love that idea of the connecting with your customers and clients through the newsletter to keep them in the loop. It's not just buy our product and then, you know, buy. I love that you have that whole process. Like, we are here for you. We know how you feel, and we will follow up.
Right.
That's amazing. Because so many companies, what they do is they're just focusing on the sales process. It's just sell. This is the product what we have. This is what you will get, and that's it. Maybe you have customer service, but in your case, the bigger picture, the creating the community, the bringing the people together. And again, like I already mentioned, and I also gave a name of the Thursday talk for today, how to turn obstacles into opportunities. We all have that choice, and we all have that power every single day. And that's very empowering.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. And that has been the big piece, is that with Solace Club, we aren't simply focused on the product. For example, one of the things that we have done is co-sponsored Yoga for Grief classes in Las Vegas. Again, trying to give people who are suffering, who are in grief, another outlet. And for myself personally, yoga was extremely helpful. Just that physical expression, you know, it was a great release physically, it was a great release emotionally. And they don't do that out here. And actually in a lot of places, they don't, they try to keep yoga and emotion separate. And so with something for grief, have you heard of a class of like yoga for anger? Yoga for depression, yoga for like any emotional issues, yoga for divorce. Like, no, it doesn't happen.
Should we patent it? We should do something about that. Okay.
Well, this is not an original idea. I went to the Association for Deaf Educators and Counselors, and there was somebody talking about that, and I was just super thrilled. I was like, this is great. Why don't we have these in every single city? And he's got a book out, but it's still very, very small, which just blows my mind, because everybody experiences grief. You are not going to get out of life without losing somebody that you love. I obviously haven't, but it touches everybody. And as a society, we really stink at supporting people in grief, or supporting ourselves, giving ourselves that self-love and that self-care that is really needed when you're going through this super tough time.
I'm really happy that you're bringing it out, because sometimes we just try to take care of everybody else but us, in family. Even when we suffer, we're like, oh, don't worry, I'll be fine. The same, it's in business. We take care of, our to-do list. We take care of our duties about our customers, and then we forget about being kind to ourselves, about the very important part of the self-care, and that's just so powerful. And I personally also love yoga. For me, it's more about connecting to myself, because I'm always on the go. So that's my me time, when I can disconnect from anything and anybody else. And I think that's wonderful, when I think about it, yoga for grief or any kind of emotions, because usually we try to put the emotions on the side because we think that emotions are bad. But when you can really tap in it, you can really heal it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are things that I continue to learn about myself while going through yoga, that I continue to learn about my grief process. And I'm almost 4 years into being a widow. So I know the impact that it can have on people. So I'm really happy to share it. I'm really happy to inspire other people to make this a thing and to make it happen for other folks that are going through the grief. And so, we'll see what happens with it. We'll see, just like when I went up to Portland for the conference, where that person's book goes, and where we as a society go as it pertains to helping other people in grief.
Oh, that's beautiful. I really love your mission. It's beautiful, and it's needed, and it's I really love how it, not why it started, but the process later on, how it unfolds. Because when you're in business, sometimes you're trying to force things, like, what should I do? What can I sell? But you just, used what your problem was, and you turn it into okay, if I have this problem and I don't know how to solve it, there will be more people that might be facing the same. So I'm just thinking, how did you get to the point when you could think with more clarity? Because I don't know how others, but when you're kind of in that problem, when you're facing the obstacle, it's really hard to think with clarity, to what should I do? How can I overcome the obstacle? Or, you're saying it was a Christmas time and the packaging, so that probably kind of just came to you. But if there are other people that are facing obstacles in their lives, what would you suggest for them to get more clarity and space so they can then turn it and use that for growth, or for, overcoming it and becoming better?
My first thought would be, don't worry about staying within the box. Now, I know that our whole company is about boxes, so we're going to use the metaphorical box here. And I say that because I feel like right now, being a business owner, an entrepreneur, nobody talks about this in grad school. Where I was supposed to be right now in my life, I was supposed to be, sitting on a couch for, 8 to 12 hours a day helping individual clients, or doing group work, or, something really focused on this. And so I'm doing something so outside of what I have been trained to do, what I know how to do. And so I think that part of it is not being afraid to take the leap, not being afraid to do something that is really different. And some of that goes into, hey, I can do this. I may not know how, but I know how to figure it out. I know how to contact people that are going to help me out, or to research it. But I think that a lot of it has to do with, I see that there's an issue. How do I overcome this? I don't know. I'm hitting that roadblock. Have trust in yourself to figure it out.
Oh, I love that. I
don't have to do this perfectly at all, but I'm going to do it.
That's awesome. I have a goosebump right now, because right before I saw you, it was around 4. I was listening to podcasts of James Wedmore. He has a Mind Your Business podcast. I love him because his business, his podcast, it's not only about business, but it's really about the mindset. When I was listening to him, I'm just enrolled in his online course. He was saying that so many entrepreneurs are trying to do something so perfectly that they never do it. And the one thing he always suggests everyone, it's to take the leap and the nest will appear. I'm like, oh, wow. And you're saying the same thing. Okay, I'm jumping.
Convinced you to take the leap, huh?
That's beautiful. And you're so right.
Yeah. It's not easy. Like saying, well, you just do this. No, like it is not an easy process. And so if you struggled with the leap, if you've struggled with going outside the box, be compassionate with yourself and look at, okay, what has made it hard for me to do that? What are my fears? What's going on right now that makes me not want to do this? And take a good hard look. And I always tell clients, patients, this game of, okay, so there's fear. There's a what if game. So we catastrophize, we think about, all right, so my fear is I'm going to lose all my money and become destitute and in the gutter somewhere. Okay, so probably before you live in the gutter, there are going to be a series of events at which point you can stop and make different choices, whether it's, okay, I'm not going to do this entrepreneur thing, or hey, I need to get additional people to help. But there are going to be things before you get to the gutter. And so, okay, so what if you get to the gutter? Well, chances are you're not, but what if you do? The worst case scenario, what if you do? You'll figure it out, right? Like you will start problem solving, because if things prevented you from problem solving before then, you're going to be really motivated to problem solve when you're like, I don't want to live in this gutter. What can I do? And so usually our fear is so much bigger and scarier than what actually could happen or will happen. And we don't give ourselves the credit at being a problem solver. But the fact that you are sitting wherever you are sitting right here, right now, watching the two of us, you have been able to accomplish a lot in your life. And I don't think that people give themselves that credit.
Oh, you're amazing. This will be recorded and this will be spread everywhere and all over, because this is so amazing. I love that. I think I heard that sometime before, think about the worst case scenario, because our mind always plays game with us, and usually our fears and our worst case scenario, it's much worse than what the reality is or will be. So that's really amazing tip, think about And my best friend, Christina, she knows that really well. She's my free psychologist,
Aw, it's always good to have at least one, if not a couple of those in your friend circle. Absolutely, yes.
Yes, I think she's doing some overdue hours and extra hours in my case. But yes, you're so right, because I think I had the conversation with her last week. I was telling her how bumpy it's this entrepreneurial road, the journey. It's, some days you're so happy that you're in the business because you have a mission of helping others. There is a purpose why you are doing it. And then there are days that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, what am I doing? What's going to happen? So it's really up and down. And I think it's like you said, Robyn, often we forget to give ourselves credit. How far we came. And like you said, if people can be sitting here and watching us or even listening to us, probably it's not that bad.
Right. I mean, the fact that I own a computer and I'm sitting like in a place with a roof and there's electricity, I mean, there are things those are blessings. Those are things that would not have happened in different circumstances. But believe me, as I was saying earlier, when my husband died, I was worried about the electricity. I was worried about whether or not, I could afford a new laptop when mine was busted. Like, there are things that when you problem solve and you recognize, wow, I've been through that. I've really been able to accomplish a lot more than, again, I give myself credit for. And if you remind yourself, I've been through a lot worse than this, I can get through the next patch, whatever that is confidence that you can't pay for. That is confidence that will carry you through, taking the leap and taking the tough times, because being an entrepreneur, as you know, is not easy. It's not always fun. But if you work it right, it's usually always very rewarding.
That's true. That's true. So do you have like any exercise or anything, to help people to overcome their doubts, or, so they really recognize how far they have come? Do you have anything to, put them back on the journey of the confidence to keep going?
Well, I have tons of things. I mean, I was like in 10 years of school learning about this stuff.
Something that we can like short and sweet that we can do like right now, or maybe tonight, sit down and...
Well, if you are having a lot of serious doubts, my first thought is, what started them? When did this start? So it's got to be reflection time, which in my world means journaling. So go down and jot down, when did I start questioning what am I doing or what's going on there? And chances are there is a fear. Okay, something happened, somebody said something, maybe questioned your decision, or you made a mistake, whether it's financially or whatnot, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this leap, or if I can do this big venture and make something good out of what has happened. And then kind of like what we have been talking about is play out that fear. Okay, so my doubt is I don't think I can do this. Okay, so what if I can't do this? Then what? It's the what if game. So what if I can't do this? Well, then I have these options. I can continue in the job that I hate. Okay, been there, done that. Or, I can make some adjustments. Okay, and so what if you make those adjustments? So it's actually like a decision tree. It's a what if game with a decision tree. Like in my head, I'm seeing this, right? I told you I'm extremely visual. And so you can break this up and get down to, okay, once you look at it in black and white on paper, like, wow, that's what my griefs are. Like, so I was worried that like this big monster of self-doubt that, I was going to end up in the gutter, or, that people who've been telling me that I'm a good for nothing, that they were right. So that's my fear. Well, chances are, like, you've already overcome what that good for nothing thing is. You are not that good for nothing that they had told you. And by doing this exercise, by playing the what if game and making that decision tree, you can say, yeah, I'm not going to end up that way. Like, none of these pieces here, except for maybe like the really far end one there that I can barely see on the piece of paper. Maybe if I made all those decisions, I'll end up as a good for nothing. But chances are I'm going to do something pretty awesome with my life. And that is worth putting that self-doubt aside and, again, believing in me and what I have to offer the world.
That's amazing. I love that. I will write it everything later on in the comments, under in the caption. So others can catch us live, they can watch the replay and take the notes. So I see already everybody doing the trees tonight. Tonight.
Like staying up, like I can't go to sleep. I need to create this tree. I've got way too many self-doubts as I'm trying to go to sleep. Oh yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yes. So I remember when you and me talked, you told me that you started your company, your co-founder, you have partners. It's just a baby, right? You started in October, right?
Yeah, less than a year ago.
That's like really baby. So let me ask you, what were the biggest obstacles, to starting the business? What do you feel like,
Oh gosh. Well, you want to talk about self-doubts. all the things I said. I didn't go to school for this. I don't know what I am doing. And I was able to reach out to my co-founders and say, hey, I'm not really sure about this. Could you look at this? They said research, and which was good. Research what it means to be an entrepreneur. Read books about it, and they gave me recommendations.
What would you recommend, if I can ask?
Oh my gosh, let's see. Was it Jumping the Chasm? Something about the chasm, because that's kind of where we're at right now. There's one about. I can get back to you on that one. It's one that I've already read. Not on social media, because that's what I was really posting on. Thank you, Jess. That's awesome. There was something, and once I say it, everybody is going to know it, and I just can't remember it off the top of my head. It's been a while since I read it. But it was extremely helpful. They're all helpful, except that most of the books that they write are for other, are more for online or tech startups. Mm-hmm. That is not what we are. And so even then, I had to take this advice and go, okay, that's not quite for me, and that's okay. How do I integrate the lessons that they are trying to teach into what we are doing? And that's when you journal, that's when you take notes throughout it, and you're constantly thinking about your business. So a lot of it was educating myself, and over the different pieces of the year, or it'll almost be a year, having the feedback and seeing the results of my decisions, that is what also really helped with the confidence.
So what are some of the results that you got, like an affirmation?
Yes, they were definitely affirmations for the decisions that I made based on, and that tells me, hey, it's okay that I didn't know anything in the beginning. Mm-hmm. The fact that I had this passion, that I had this dream, was enough. And it's the thing that carries me even to this day, and I think will continue to carry me onward, is I know that I want to make this available to people. If that means that we have competition, great. That means that other people are getting the product. I want people to have this product. Mm-hmm. I would like for them to use Solace Club, absolutely, because I do believe that we have a good quality product, like better than a lot that are out there, and definitely more than just a bouquet of flowers when somebody passes away. So it's definitely, you got to believe in what you're selling.
You sent me a couple of the pictures of your boxes, and I know I was looking at them on the brochure. I was like, oh, I love this. I know it's a grief package, but even though when you're going through a really stressful period of times, it doesn't have to be a grief itself of losing someone, because your packages and the things that they are inside, I know you have some teas and chocolate and socks and so many different things. Like, I was looking and I was like, I would buy this for myself, just, when you're like in your low periods, or when you just feel stressed or overwhelmed. That package, that care package, it's so beautiful that I think it can get you not just through the grief, but even through the sadness and other emotions. So,
well, and I'm not going to how to put this, put the cart before the horse is a saying. I'm not so great with metaphors, so it's just kind of amusing.
And it's like my fifth language. So
you're awesome. I'm so impressed with you, by the way. But why we kept it a Solace Club as opposed to like a grief club or something is that we recognize that these types of packages would work well with so many other situations. So you've got cancer out there, you've got relationship loss, you have you have adopting, you have, a pet loss, you have a lot of different losses, but you're also saying, I've had recommendations for mental health support around, I don't know if you know, seasonal affective disorder. That has been recommended to me. It's weird, like if you go up to Portland, Seattle, Pacific Northwest, you don't have sunlight for like months on end, you get a little depressed. Yes. Yeah. The recommendation was to create a box to kind of help them through that. I think all these ideas are fantastic, we still have to be like get a stronghold and be known as our company before we can start to divert into these different ideas and pivot if necessary, or if that's just what we want to do. So it's definitely it's a possibility.
That's also an amazing, idea, and the way you said it, because sometimes we get distracted and we are trying to do everything.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, look, Carol. Oh, let me do this. Let me do that. Oh, it's like me. But right. I have the fear of missing out, so I'm trying to do it all. But you need to become an expert at one thing. So when people talk about grief, they will think about Robyn or Solace, Club. So I think that's really amazing decision to really become known in one thing, and then you can do whatever you want, because then already people know you and trust you.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that we can't do it in the future. And my issue, you have FOMO. I like FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, you're fine. I'm just glad that you have some water. Hydration. It's the desert. Drink up.
I drink 2 gallons of water a day. That's fine. But I talk too much. Hard to tell, right?
That is tough. Well, now I almost forgot what I was going to talk about. You have the fear of missing out. I have the fear of not being able to help the folks that I want to help. And that's way too long to have this cute little FOMO thing. But I want to help people that have SAD. I want to help people that have had miscarriages and specific types of losses. There's so many things that I want to do, but like you said, you've got to really focus on one thing first.
Yeah, but I also think that, and this is something that I always discuss with my coaching clients, because not only I manage other people's accounts when they just don't want to be wasting their time online, but I also am coaching entrepreneurs how to use social media so they can grow their business. The first thing I ask them, or one of the first thing, it's who are you talking to? Who is the ideal client? Who is your target market that you want to be serving? Because yes, I know that you can help more people, you can help many people, but if you're trying to serve everybody, then you're helping nobody. Right. And I believe that if you really focus on that one thing that it's in your heart, that one thing that really ignites you, then your energy will spread to more people. Because you will be so well known, people will trust you, you will create a relationship with all those people, that they will come to you. The right people always come to your life in the perfect timing. Look at you. You appeared in my life in a perfect timing.
Likewise, that is awesome.
So I really believe in that, be very clear about who you want to work with. What is your main focus? And then it will just grow itself naturally. And I believe that that's the best thing, That's a really great idea.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And I saw that Christina, she commented she already saw your website and she loves it. So I will make sure that I will put your website there, in the captions, so people can find you. And is there anywhere else that people can find you?
Oh gosh, yeah. On Instagram, it's Real Solace Club. We had to play around with the name because apparently there's a dance club in LA called Solace Club. We are not a dance club. So the Real Solace Club. We're on Twitter under the same name. Facebook is just you look up Solace Club, and that's where we're at. And we're also on Snapchat as Solace Club. So
you are doing Snapchat. Look at you.
I am. I'm not sure I'm doing it well, but I'm doing it.
I always said that done is better than perfect.
Right? Yes, absolutely. If you go for perfection, yeah, thank you very, very much, Christina. If you go for perfection, you're going to take too long getting there, and you're going to miss out, and your business is going to hurt because of that.
Yeah, so. That's beautiful. So I will make sure that I leave all these in the caption so people can find you, because I believe in you, and I know that your idea and your plan and mission is deep in your heart, and it's going to help so many people. So this is just the start, because I already hooked you up on Saturday cycling in a revolution.
Excellent! I can't wait. It's a good exercise, and I may be dragging at the end of it, but that's usual.
Yeah, but that's like with everything in life. I see that you're very like-minded, me, and it's always mind and body together. So
yeah,
we'll make sure to share our experience with others. You can Snapchat about it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'll be snapping the entire time, going, "Look at what she made me do, Betty! Oh my goodness!" And then afterwards, I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so glad we did this." That's all types of exercise for me.
So thank you so much, Robyn, for coming today. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to see how your idea and your company it's going to be growing. I hope that with our Thursday talk, we spread a little bit of word about it, and I will make sure to include all the social media where others can find you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. It has been a pleasure chatting with you today as well, and meeting you just a couple of days ago. That was awesome.
Isn't it amazing? And for those who didn't catch this live, don't worry. I will be checking up on the comments. So if you have any questions for me or for Robyn, just leave us a note. I will make sure to pass all the notes or comments or messages to Robyn in her email. And I can't wait to hear from you. And if you like this video or you know anyone who will find it helpful, please make sure to share it. Thank you so much, Robyn, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Sounds good. See you then.
Thank you.